Hi, good morning, Christian.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Fine, doing well. Thanks for joining us today. I am Abdulrahman, the supervisor of Saudi Aramco Cybersecurity Chair, and would like to thank you for accepting the invitation and joining us today to learn more about the institution you are working with and how you connect the cybersecurity research with the peace research. Very interesting topic and area, and we would like to explore it more with you. So thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot. Yeah. I will just try now. I think it's currently stopped video presentation for me, as long as it's not allowed for me to start it right now, right?
If you should be able, let's just double check. Maybe we need to.
Now I am allowed. Okay.
That's
now
great. Yeah, we can see you now. How's the weather in Germany?
The weather, it's fine. It's last week there was snow. This week spring began, so everything's fine.
That's great. Yes, still having snow?
No, not anymore. Last week it was the case, but just for one day. And
that's good. Yeah, I believe usually we relate snow to December, January, so it's good to have it until March. I mean, that's great.
Yeah, but every year it's different. It's not usual, and always, of course, it's not the same in overall Germany. There are some areas where there's never snow, and other areas where, yeah, they have a lot.
Yeah. So what the temperature right now?
But I'm sorry.
The temperature.
Temperature, I think something like 12 degrees. Or...
That's good. Yeah, I believe we're still having our last maybe week in the winter. We have around 23, so also having some nice weather these days. But I believe the summer is coming, so we to enjoy as much as possible. Yes. Have you been to Saudi before, Christian?
Sorry, where?
Saudi Arabia.
Not yet, no.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Hopefully, we'll host you in person next time. We are trying to explore all topics of cybersecurity and looking also to explore new areas. And I believe the one you are focusing in one of the new areas that we would like also to highlight.
Okay, thanks.
Maybe just to give you some background about the college, we are at the College of Computer Science and Information Technology at Imam Faisal University. We have the first Bachelor of Cybersecurity and Digital Forensics in the Kingdom, and the first also to be accredited by EBIT outside of the US. So we have some good focus of undergraduate and postgraduate in cybersecurity. So we would like also to engage the students in the latest research and latest hot topics. We have also our great partner, so the Aramco. We are also exploring latest attacks and latest research with them, with the help of local and international researchers. We have other also programs. We have the Bachelor of AI. We have also started that one in 2019. And also we are considered as one of the first university to establish Bachelor of AI in the Kingdom.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and we're trying also to get support between the two programs, integrating research of AI in cybersecurity. So also that's one of the collaboration between the two programs, and we're trying also to touch on AI in other areas like digital health and other areas. And we have the classical programs of Bachelor of Computer Science and Bachelor of IS. but we'd like to engage our students with the industry and with also the latest research as possible. So we have around 70 research projects every year from the undergraduate, and also around 20 for the postgraduate. So we're trying to make sure that this project is aligned with the industrial need. Most of these projects published in Q1 and Q2. Some of them they get patent as well. We try to also support these projects as much as possible. So that's maybe some overview of the college and what we are doing. I believe also we have Professor Nasr Mallah. He will be the moderator of this session. And we're looking forward to hear about you, inshallah, Christian.
Thanks.
Hello, everyone. Again, thank you very much. It's my great pleasure to welcome you all in the 15th seminar arranged by the Saudi Aramco Cybersecurity Chair at the College of Computer Science and Information Technology, Imam Abdulrahman bin Faisal University. The title for today's seminar is International Cybersecurity and Peace Research, Challenges at the Intersection of Peace and Conflict Research and Cybersecurity Research. This talk will describe advances in science and technology, including information technology, which plays a crucial role in the context of peace, war, and security. The talk will highlight central challenges such as the role of state and non-state actors and the difficulty of verification and attributions. My name is Professor Nasr Mallah, and I'll be moderating this session today. As you know, we have divided this session into two parts. In the first part, speaker will present the work in 40-45 minutes, followed by a 10 to 15 minutes question and answer session. If you have any question, please feel free to type it in the chat window, and I will try to read it out to the speaker in the Q&A session. Maybe we will allow some of the participants to ask live questions if needed. And now let me introduce our distinguished speaker, Professor Christian Reuter, who is a full professor at the Technical University of Darmstadt, Germany. His chair position for Science and Technology for Peace and Security in the Department of Computer Science combines computer science with peace and security research. He holds a PhD in Information Systems and another PhD in the Politics of Safety and Security from University of Nijmegen. His work includes cybersecurity and privacy, peace and conflict studies, as well as human-computer interaction. Professor Christian Reuter and his team specifically addresses peace informatics and technical research, crisis informatics, and information warfare, usable safety and security and privacy. With this, now I will request Professor Christian Reuter to take it from here, please. Thank you.
Yeah, good morning, and thanks for the nice introduction. I'm very happy that I can be here, at least virtually, to present a talk on international cybersecurity and peace research, and to answer the question, what are challenges on the intersection of peace and conflict research and cybersecurity research? As already mentioned, my name is Christian Reuter, and I'm full professor at Technical University of Darmstadt. And my team tries to combine computer science with peace and security research. So the institute is called Science and Technology for Peace and Security, short PSEC, and we work on the intersection of different disciplines. So on the intersection of the disciplines cybersecurity and privacy research, here colored in red, peace and conflict studies in blue, as well as human-computer interaction. And we are very interested in the research on the intersection of these disciplines. So we address the research topic of peace informatics and technical peace research, though these include questions where peace and conflict studies and cybersecurity research come together. So cyber war, cyber peace, cyber arms control questions, or the question of dual use in computer science, though if computer science artifacts may cause harm and may be intended for beneficial use, but are then used in a different way, and how to avoid this. The second research area is the area of crisis informatics and information warfare. Therefore, peace and conflict studies and human-computer interaction come together. And people use social media, for instance, in crisis situation, and questions of opinion manipulation and fake news are important for us. The third area is usable safety, security, and privacy, though the overlapping of cybersecurity research and human-computer interaction, and we are researching privacy-enhancing technologies, for instance, which are not just aiming towards the technical aims, but which are also able to be used by end users and therefore, reach its initial aims, not just in a technical manner, but also in use cases. If we look at the research field of international cybersecurity and peace research, we see that the overlap of these research areas is more and more accepted. Of course, one may say that cybersecurity is just a technical research field, and it doesn't matter if it's used and applied for cybersecurity against different organizations or different hackers from with criminal aims. But we see that it also has a peace research component. And I think at least in Germany, when the German government network was invaded, and this was discovered around 5 years ago, and administration rights were systematically taken, it has been accepted that cybersecurity and peace research come together, and that there are also sometimes foreign threats where one may detect. Of course, technology in international relations is nothing new. Already during the French Revolution, engineers were recruited. During First World War, also natural scientists, mathematicians, and engineers were integrated in the production of war material, and also telephone and radio communication was introduced to the battlefield. And since World War II, ICT has become increasingly decisive in crisis, conflicts, and war, and ICT has been fully integrated into armed forces. And if we now look at the discipline, international cybersecurity and peace research, we see, of course, that it is an interdisciplinary research field. Of course, cybersecurity is an important part, but there is also influence from social sciences. And if we look at it here, the black dot is IT peace research or international cybersecurity and peace research. We may think, okay, what are the influences from the social science perspective? Of course, this belongs to social science and to political science, as long as it is about how governments of different states relate to each other. Within political science, the sub-area international relation studies the relations of states with each other and with other international organizations and subnational entities. And within the area of international relations, there's the subfield of peace and conflict studies, which analyzes the causes of peace and war on the basis of scientific methods and theories from various different disciplines. So also from the perspective of computer science, also this is a subdiscipline which is dominated by scholars of social science and especially political science. But within this, there's one area dealing with natural science and technical peace research, which is a research field which was built as a consequence of the emergence of the nuclear weapons in the East-West conflicts, and contains scientists from physics, from chemistry, biology, and computer science, and aim to support the political process of preventing war, of reducing armament, and building confidence with technical solutions. And of course, this is just the social science perspective. If we talk about international cybersecurity and peace research, we can also narrow down this from the technical science and engineering perspective. Of course, this is then part of computer science as a study of computers and the major phenomena around them. I think within this audience, I do not have to explain too much what computer science is, and I also do not have to define too much what cybersecurity research is, as the prevention of confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information. However, in my talk and during the next minutes, these things come together. So peace and conflict studies and computer science, technical peace research and cybersecurity research. And that's the aim of the next minutes, to research the challenges in this intersection called IT peace research, or called international cybersecurity and peace research. One may say that technically it's the same, and it doesn't matter if cybersecurity is studied within the context of peace and conflict studies. However, states have specific and larger capabilities, and therefore we think that it's a good idea to research this. And we also think that it's both social and technical research, and that competences of different scholars come together here. And therefore, in my team, we work interdisciplinary on these topics with PhD students and researchers from both areas, the peace and conflict studies area and the computer science area. Having said this, we may think, okay, do the research and then everything is good. But we also discover that there are some challenges in this research area. And during the next minute, I want to highlight at least some of them. Of course, this list is not comprehensive, and we may also introduce new challenges, but I want to discuss with you about some challenges that at least we see. The first challenge is that there is a large uncertainty about cyber forces. Cyber attacks often have a transnational component. However, sometimes it's not visible where the attacker comes from and who's the originator of something. But I think we can say that there's uncertainty about the targets and the aims of emerging cyber forces, and the probability of targeting civilian infrastructures unintentionally. So if we do a cyber attack, or if we discover one, then it might be possible that not just military forces are attacked, but also that civilian infrastructures are attacked unintentionally. During the last decade, and until 2016, at least, all NATO members and also many other states recognized cyberspace as a military domain and introduced cyber domain as a defense area, and introduced specific members within the military, which are not just researching but also observing all the cyber space. However, there are little information about the cyber forces because much remains secret, which is of course normal within the military domain. However, in the cyberspace domain, it is even less obvious who is doing which activities, and we can also not distinguish so good between civil members and military members, which leads to the second challenge, that there are a variety of actors active, or the variety of state and non-state actors with potential assailants. So what we can say is that it's difficult to distinguish between state and non-state actors. And it's also often unclear whether the actor proposes a military strategic or a commercial objective. And why is this the case? Because different to other weapons, it's also possible for non-state actors to handle them. Of course, it's very hard for non-state actors to buy a tank or to invest in such things. But with cyber weapons, it's different, because a cyber weapon is something very different. It's at least a known vulnerability, and you have code that can make use of this. And of course, also non-state actors can be seen as potential actors within these cyber activities. Therefore, they are more transparent, and it's more difficult to identify involved actors in the operational domain. Therefore, the roles and the responsibilities of state actors in a cyber conflict need to be strengthened, and some also argue that active cyber defense measures, such as counterattacks by companies, should be forbidden. So the core thing is that this variety of actors make it very difficult to attribute a threat to the area of international cybersecurity, and to really state that it's a state-based conflict and not something which is just initiated by other non-state actors. Of course, this is not just the case because it's possible to do this, but also because, and this leads to the third challenge, there's the difficulty of attribution. So what is attribution? Attribution is the question, or answering the question, who did it? And with traditional weapons, it's possible to observe it and to know where something comes from. But with cyber attacks, it's very different, because we may find some code which leads to some countries, but it may also be faked or be just a matter of fact that different strategies try to hide who has been the originator of an attack. So the attribution of cyber attacks is therefore not just a technical question, but also a question which includes legal and political processes. If we see that a cyber attack is timed exactly at the same point of time with traditional attacks, we may think, okay, it has been initiated by the same actor. However, if we want to answer this question purely on a technical level, it's very hard to give full evidence that it was originated within one country or by one specific actor. And having that, and if we acknowledge that it's very difficult to attribute a cyber attack to a specific country, to a specific military actor, we also see that our challenge number 4 is very important, which is that the measures for verification need to be adapted to emerging technologies, and rules for transparency need to be established. First of all, what is verification? Verification is that usually within the military domain, different states try to verify each other's compliance to some contracts. For instance, they limit themselves with a maximum number of some military capabilities, and they visit each other, and they are then able to control them, at least a bit. Of course, they are not interested to give full transparency to all military capabilities. However, with all the other physical weapons, it's possible at least to control it a bit and to give a bit evidence that some numbers and some capabilities are not significantly increased. But for new emerging technologies and for virtual cyber weapons, this is not so much possible. We have already seen that there are many also actors from the private area which are very active in the cybersecurity domain and are hired to hack other systems. And of course, we cannot control them fully. A cyber weapon is something which is very small, and we can hide this very well. Therefore, usual measures for verification and transparency cannot be adapted to the cyberspace in the same way they are used within the area of traditional weapons. Some argue that there is a need for an independent international organization which helps to attribute and to possess secret service reconnaissance tools that could communicate its results reliably. However, I think we are far away from this, and we have to admit that verification and transparency in cyberspace is very different from the traditional area of weapons. Then there's also a fifth challenge called dual use of IT. And the challenge here is, how can military or civilian and use or misuse be differentiated? First of all, what is dual use? Dual use is that something is used in two ways, and one may say, okay, this is of course a positive thing, that technologies that have been developed for one area are then used in a different area. However, the dual use dilemma is usually something which is not seen very positive. The key question is that some technologies that have been developed for civil use are then used in a military context. However, within computer science, we usually do not just differentiate between civilian and military use, because if we want to use something in a harmful way, so one technology that has been developed to connect people might be used to also observe them and for large-scale surveillance. And if we see that this is possible, we can also acknowledge that not just states are able to implement this, but also larger organizations. And therefore, for computer science, I think it's not enough to distinguish between civilian and military with regard to dual use, but between use and misuse of technology. And misuse scenarios are very easy to adapt because, in general, technology is easy to adapt. There are some rules, for instance, for encryption of hard and software, which can be seen as a dual-use product. And for US, for instance, it has not been allowed to export software with very hard encryption or tools that allow very hard encryption in order to always be able to decrypt everything. However, I don't think that this is a solution to the problem. The key problem is that within the area of IT, adaptations are very easy, and therefore misuse cases are very common and possible. And within the design of ICT, we have to think, okay, how can we maybe avoid misuse cases and design technology in a way that these scenarios become very unlikely. I think that there are more challenges, and one more challenge is the proliferation. I think within the military domain, this term is well known. I think within the cybersecurity domain, it's not so much known. Proliferation is that some technologies and some weapon systems, for instance, are limited and cannot be given to every state actor. However, within cyber weapons, a code can hardly be restricted in its distribution or duplication, and the dissemination of dual-use technologies within and between countries is proving to be a challenge. And there is something like the Cybersecurity Index, which represents a first step towards binding regulations that restrict or reduce the use of offensive cyber tools for military purposes. However, technically, it's too easy to exchange and to duplicate code, and therefore proliferation is an important challenge. I now come to one of the last challenge, or to the last challenge I have on my slides before I will then dive with you together into current research. Challenge number 7 is laws, and the permanent adoption of international and national laws to new technologies seem to be a challenge. And for instance, there's no agreement on the technical artifacts of a cyber weapon, their quality or quantity that should be monitored. You all know that traditional weapon systems or weapons in the international realm are monitored. However, with cyber weapons, this is very different, and we also have no agreement on how to handle them, and if there are some technical aspects we all can agree upon. Therefore, also from the law perspective, it's very hard to adapt to the new cybersecurity domain. So if we summarize the research field and the challenges, we see that, of course, IT has a significant influence on warfare and military strategy, that military forces are increasingly relying on cyberspace and see that this is an important domain. However, there's still a lack of adequate answers to international relations of cyber conflicts and the current dynamics of armament, and some cyber incidents may also cause serious tensions as long as nearly all critical infrastructures within all countries are related to ICT and are controlled by ICT. Therefore, cyber incidents are, of course, nothing which just have cyber causes if they break down, but of course, they control the real world processes, and IT peace research and IT cybersecurity research with international focus should be expanded in the future to study cybersecurity, although within the area of international relations. However, some challenges which at least we observed are the insecurity, the variety of actors, which make it really hard to distinguish between civil and military actors, the difficulty of attribution and of verification, which make it very hard to apply international regulations and to control them, proliferation as one further challenge, and the laws. So this is an intermediate summary, and now I want to introduce you some current research we are doing in this area of international cybersecurity and peace research. And the one research area is cyber threat observatory, so how to support computer emergency response team to observe the situation. And the second research area is how to combat information warfare, and I will briefly introduce these two research areas to you. You all know that cybersecurity is challenged, and that there have been, for instance, 144 million new malware variants last year, and that reports also see that 14.8 million reports were sent to the BSI, to German networks operator in the period. So where operators of critical infrastructures, for instance, had to react to. And at the same time, we see that it took 13 days between the intrusion of the software and until it has been discovered. And not just in Germany, but in many countries, in many states and many organizations, there are therefore computer emergency response teams which prevent and or which conduct preventive and reactive measures, which observe the cyber security situation, and which receive reports from different organizations, but which also research which new known vulnerabilities are available to react to this and to fix their own systems. We did empirical studies with such computer emergency response teams to learn how they work and to also learn what are major challenges there. And we see, for instance, that there's a lack of automation in the monitoring. So people do this manually, search on 100 different websites and try to combine these information. We also see that there's a lack of useful visual overviews to combine all these information, and there's too much information available to handle all this in a manual way we also see that research points out that there is a lack of tools to support the filtering or to assess the credibility of cyber threat information. And all this led to the conclusion that visual support of cyber emergency response teams is needed, and that we may develop tools like that. Therefore, we designed the Cyber Threat Observatory. It's a tool which basically combines information from various sources. We have security advisories, we have databases of common vulnerabilities and of exposures, which are included here. We have the indicators of compromise, for instance, and they are also included in our systems. But then, of course, also in social media, new vulnerabilities are being discussed, and it's therefore also good to observe this area. And what we did, we designed this system, our Cyber Threat Observatory, to support computer emergency response teams like Hessen 3C in the German county of Hessen to enable a virtual overview and to enable them to observe international but also not international vulnerabilities where they have to react to. So this is just one challenge and one current research project with the challenge that we also have to include machine learning here, and this has to learn on very small samples. And what we are also introducing here is cyber warnings to the population, because sometimes also systems which are used by many citizens are affected, and this tool and cyber or Hessen 3C has developed an app where the population is also warned if there are known vulnerabilities, and this population have to do something. This is just one area, so how to deal with all the cybersecurity threats. And of course, we also see that there are cybersecurity threats which are not so technical, but more on the area of information. So addressing information warfare. What is information warfare? And is information really something that can harm too much? We say yes. Information is, for instance, fake news, which can have serve consequences. For instance, on the financial stock index, where the a Twitter account of the Associated Press has been hacked with a news that 2 explosions had been in the White House, and this led to the breakdown of the stock index. And there are also issues on health, where fake news in the corona crisis on bleach with even deadly effects has been included, where some actors said that it's possible to drink chlorine in order to prevent corona, which was not true. And fake news is, of course, a common topic to address all these things. However, there are different terms where we may have to distinguish between. The first term, fake news, I think it's more a popular term, and we may also call this disinformation. These are articles that are intentionally and verifiable wrong and could mislead readers. Then there are misinformation, so they are false, but they are unintentional false or inaccurate, and they include rumors or conspiracy theories, but they also may cause much damage. And information warfare is then that actions are implemented to achieve information superiority by manipulating adversary and defending one's own information and media through false information with the aim of manipulation opinions. And information warfare, of course, can be directed inward or outward, so to control the information which is provided to the population, that they are not able to inform themselves in all sources, but it also can be directed outward, so to manipulate the perceptions in another country, for instance, if there are some elections. And social media are very important platform because there's high peace, low costs, there's anonymity, and it's easy to promote the spread of fake news within this area. What we did, we studied the attitude towards fake news, and have seen that we've studied this in Germany with a sample of 1,000 people, that half of the population have already perceived fake news. So it is an important topic, and other studies say that this is also the same in other countries. Some even said that they have created fake news, but most of them, or 23%, said that they have deleted or reported fake news. We then also asked what is their attitude towards fake news, and many agree that fake news proposes a threat and is therefore something we have to deal with. But the question is, what are countermeasures? And therefore we also ask for such countermeasures, finding out that a quick reaction of the authorities was a wanted countermeasure, or that the operators of social media platforms have to react, and transparent and self-critical journalism is also something which received high agreement. But at the end, we have to see at social media and think, okay, which measures are effective and also are accepted? Because if we just delete all fake news or all news which we do not agree with, it might be seen as censorship. Therefore, within our second part of the study, we were studying the effectiveness and user acceptance of countermeasures against fake news, which are, of course, something which might be based as a matter of international relations, but we cannot always see who is the originator, critiquing our challenge of attribution, which we discussed in the first part of the lecture. So what are possible countermeasures to fake news? Here we have the original post. We can just display it as seen. We can introduce a warning below this. Okay, the claims in this post have been disputed by independent fact checkers. That's a possibility. We can also provide related articles that have a different opinion. Therefore, readers may also access different views on the same topic. We can reduce the size of the news that has been detected as fake news. We can cover it, though, that you have to click on it in order to access it. Or we can also implement something like a confirmation, so that a confirmation is needed to share this post, and therefore it do not distribute that easy. After having seen all the possibilities, we selected 4 of these, so based on pre-studies, so the reduced size, the warning, the peer countermeasures, where we see that 17 friends, for instance, think that this post is false, and the explanation that it's written below why this post might not be true. Given an example here, where it has been said that a speech has been plagiarized by the B movie for an inaugurational speech, which has been wrong. And then, if we now have these 4 possibilities to deal with fake news, we did an online experiment with 1,000 people, and with 24 different headlines. Some of them are true, some of them are false. We also tried to create these headlines with varying political views, therefore that we do not just measure what's the political perception of the people participating in our study, but to really find out which countermeasures are the most effective. And we did the study with 1,000 people, all also representative with regard to the German population, with regard to age, to gender, to income, to region, to education. And the first thing we looked at was the efficiency. So which of these countermeasures is most efficient, and what's the estimated accuracy that news is seen as fake news? And we saw that the warning and the explanation are most efficient. However, we were not just interested in the efficiency of these countermeasures, but also on the acceptance. Because, of course, most efficient is if we see and detect that something is not true and we delete it. However, readers may not have any chance to accept or to assess the resulting information, and it's of course then something like censorship. Therefore, we also ask on the acceptance of the different measures we have been implementing, and we saw that the users had to rank them, that warning and the explanation are also most accepted. Therefore, we can conclude here that explanations and warnings are not just efficient, but also accepted, and therefore may be a good way to deal with fake news in this area. What we are therefore now doing, we are designing transparent countermeasures, which of course also work with automatic detection of fake news and probabilities if something is true or wrong. But then we, and that's the thing that we can all see in the middle here, transparent white box indicators are used as indicators. Therefore, some things like the large or the use of emotion, or that account is not verified, as we can see on the bottom, or some other visible countermeasures are highlighted within posts, and the user at the end is free to make a decision if he wants to believe the news or not. It's even possible to say, I want to especially focus on these aspects or not, to allow them to decide themselves. With this, I want to conclude my talk, as I see that already 40 minutes are gone. I tried to introduce you to the research that my group, Science and Technology for Peace and Security, is doing in the area of international cybersecurity and peace research. We think that IT has a significant influence on international cybersecurity and peace research. We also see that there are some challenges compared to other areas like the security, or that the variety of actors is active, and that we cannot attribute all attacks, real cyber attacks or misinformation attacks, to specific actors, and therefore it's also hard to verify everything and to create full transparency, and also proliferation and such is easy, and this poses a challenge. And having said this, I just presented two areas of research where we are currently active. The one is the Cyber Threat Observatory, to design and evaluate interactive dashboards for computer emergency response teams in order to assess the world of information being available on cyber threats, with the challenge that sometimes machine learning have to be active on very small amounts of data and has to learn from them in order to suggest important information so that computer emergency response team can deal with the relevant information they should deal with, giving they have limited time frames. And the second research area is probably less technical. It's not about technical attacks, but how to combat information warfare and how user-centered detection measures of fake news and misinformation can be included. So with this, I thank you very much for your attention, and I'm very open to discuss questions, challenges, and ideas together with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christian. It was really interesting talk, and we received a lot of comments, a lot of appreciation in the chat window. Before I ask questions, we were just wondering, some of the students, they are asking if you have some ideas you think they will be worth exploring at undergrad level and the master level. So what are potential research area you think we should work on?
Research areas in this on the master level, I think, or at least in my institute also, many students are working together with us in these areas. There are, of course, within the area of cyber threat observatories, challenges like what information to assess and how to combine it, though to learn from large-scale information being available, but based on very limited capabilities to train data, because we have seen that many large-scale or that the situations where cyber computer emergency response teams have to react to are different, and therefore the learning or machine learning algorithms have to be adapted, and to learn from small data is an important challenge. And of course, I think new large-scale language models are also something that might help us to identify important information here. But I don't think that it's just a technical question. I think that the first research area is most related to open source intelligence and to how to assess all the data that is being available. I think that at the end, it's also, there are many research questions on the HCI level, so on the area of human-computer interaction. So how can all these information be assessed in order to inform decisions of decision makers, to transform them in a way that they can base their decisions upon them. I think this is a very important research area, and students' projects often can give new ideas how to assess this. I think you are muted now.
Yes, you're right. So as my dean mentioned a while ago, we have the cybersecurity program in the kingdom, the first one in the kingdom to start this degree program. We would love to have some collaboration with your research group. Maybe some of the students can work on your ideas. So we can maybe, we're open to have some collaboration like co-supervision and other things. We can discuss it later. Well, the first question we received is how fake content contributes to cybersecurity challenges for states. It's also in the chat window, so everyone can see the question.
Okay, fake content. I think it has two things that we can say about this. Of course, if cyber threat observatories are assessing information on available threats and they are fake content, then computer emergency response teams may deal with wrong situations and may not be able to assess the challenges that are really important at this point in time. So I think this is one possibility where fake content contributes to cybersecurity challenges of state. And of course, the second area, if we look at information warfare, then it's very obvious that fake content has a possibility to cause harm. For instance, if there are elections in one state and there are news coming that one candidate has some issues, has some problems, and many people or bots are liking that, then this fake content might contribute to the security of a state. And I think there it's always a possibility to discuss if information warfare belongs to cybersecurity or not, as long as it is not really breaking down IT systems, but is just based on the information bit which are being discussed. However, I think that the state also have to defend itself, and therefore I think same dynamics have to be applied, especially if we talk about the area which we were talking about today, about international cybersecurity and peace research, and about open source information, so information which are public available, and then I think both things are important.
Thank you. This next question is very much, it's also of my interest. I have seen two countries where they are nuclear powers, and they were very close to a war because of the role of non-state actors. So the question says, non-actors pose real threats to security, and countries can go to war because of non-state actors. What is your take on how to cybersecurity can deal with non-state actors?
Yeah, I think that's a very important question. If we see at the question in a technical way, we might say that it's not a difference, because that every state has IT systems, and these IT systems need to be secure, they need to be resilient, and it doesn't matter who is attacking them. However, if we combine this with the area of peace research and international relations, then it is important who is attacking this, because if a foreign actor is attacking my IT system and is using offensive measures, it's something like a war or the starting point of a war. And if we then cannot say if this is a state actor or not, or a state actor has paid a non-state actor to do this, or a non-state actor is doing that and wants to make draw the impression that another state has done this in order to cause the other state trouble, then this is a real important question and something that we cannot resolve fully. Of course, attribution of cyber attacks is a possibility, and to see where is it coming from. But of course, most cyber attacks are hidden a bit, and therefore we cannot technically attribute this. Sometimes then it's possible to attribute it using other measures together. For instance, if we see that the cyber attack has been initiated at a specific point in time, and this has been combined with non-cyber attacks, which also has started at the same point in time, then we can say, okay, it's probably the same actor. Also, we cannot prove this on a technical way. But I think we cannot solve this right now. It is a question and always a possibility to hide behind non-state actors and say, okay, we have not been doing this, and that also other non-state actors can enter the area and cause trouble to state actors, and they then have to prove, okay, I have not been involved and it's not my aim.
Right, there's one question coming in the chat window which says, what are the emerging cybersecurity threats to human interaction in the system and how to combat with them?
Yeah, I have to think about it. The emerging cyber threats specific to human interaction. What I can say that human interaction and human computer interaction plays a large role in to combat these and to support computer emergency response teams, for instance, to deal with the large amount of information, to find the information that they really have to deal with. So this is one point where human computer interaction come into the area. And the second is that if we, for instance, look at the population and how they are using social media, then human computer interaction and the way information are being presented, and it's transparent who was the originator, where is it coming from, are there some challenges with this information, and therefore I have to rate it in this way or the other way, then I think we have cybersecurity challenges and human computer interaction come together.
Right, thanks. The fourth question, it says, after ransom attacks, and once the matter is settled by paying ransom, what are legal options that can be taken later? If there's any legal option that people can take after paying the ransom, so he's asking, how can we go with it?
Yeah. So legal options, if we talk about international cybersecurity, then there are, of course, there's the laws of the state which has to be applied. But if we discuss this within the area of threats between states, then I think no one will ever say that he has introduced ransomware attacks. More than this, I'm not fully in the area of legal options, and therefore I cannot answer this fully.
Right. The fourth question says, YouTube has new hate policy, speech policy for prohibiting content. Does it help in restricting spread hate content?
I think that it's always a possibility, and all the different providers of social media have different measures to prevent hate speech, for instance, that it's not possible to type specific words, or that some videos in this case are automatically deleted or not distributed, or that it's not possible to find specific content using the search modules of the services. For instance, in Instagram, this is the case. So I think that all the providers of social media have an active role, and all these measures have some effect. However, the key question is, which measures are more not just effective, but also accepted and do not limit what can be said too much, because not all the providers can say this with the evidence or with regard to the law in all countries where these services are used, for instance.
Thanks. We have one live question. Let me see if my colleague can ask questions live. Dr. Saqib, are you able to unmute yourself? I think not. So maybe I will write his questions in the chat window for others also to see the question. He's asking how fake content contributes to cybersecurity challenges for states.
I think this is a bit, I think that's the first question already that you have been mentioning. Is it the right one?
That's correct. Yeah, there's another question, similar question came before as well. You already answered this question. Okay.
Okay, good. Now I see the question of Saqib.
Yeah, he is. You can see the question. How the FAIR file has evolved internationally. How do we internationally venues like ACM, Special Interest Group, can help?
Yeah, I think that many of these topics are on the intersection of different disciplines, as some of us are working in the area of cybersecurity and others are also working in the area of human-computer interaction. And if we talk about combating information warfare, then I think that this is more discussed in the special interest group of human-computer interaction. If we talk about the user-centric measures, and of course, if we talk about the automatic detection, then this is a challenge within the area of artificial intelligence and natural language processing. And if we talk about cybersecurity threats, then it's the interest group of cybersecurity. Therefore, I think to answer this question and to deal with the challenges of international cybersecurity and peace, the research of the interest of various interest groups come together, and really interdisciplinary research is needed in order to make real progress here.
Correct. Thanks. And there was one question from my dean who just left because of another meeting. He was asking if there is any effort, like at the international level or at the international level, to make universal cybersecurity law that can be implemented across the globe. So is there any effort? And if yes, do you have some information?
I think those efforts to increase cybersecurity, I think there are many, and also with regard to international cybersecurity and cyber attacks within the international area, there are agreements which what cyber security attacks could do or could not do. For instance, they should not address civilian infrastructures, and therefore there are agreements. However, the key question and the key challenges is that many activities cannot be attributed to a specific actor, and therefore agreements are good and a good starting points. However, if there are some technical challenges remaining, then it's not possible to apply them in the same way that they should be applied. And more than this, of course, we can change the IP infrastructure worldwide in order to make everything able to control. However, I think that this won't happen, and that there are also many negative sides if no free exchange of information is possible. Therefore, there's still much to do, I think.
Correct. One question just came from my colleague. They're asking if there is any training we can conduct maybe at the country level for police or other law enforcing agencies, which can be related to peace and security at the country level and maybe at the global level. So is there any authentic training, any module you recommend for our law enforcing agencies in the kingdom?
Okay, of course, the question is where to start, I think, but in order to deal with cybersecurity threats, it's important to train how to use the common available systems to observe the situation and to get a good overview, because there are so many threats available and so many vulnerabilities that we cannot, and not everyone can access every information. And we have to think how to deal with information overload and to select the right pieces of information and then to implement the right measures. So finding the needle in the haystack is the question, and the haystack is really large, and we really have to find the right needle which can hurt ourselves. And I think that's one of the main challenges.
All right, thank you very much. With this, we are already, the time is up. We would like to thank the speaker and the participants, and hopefully we will arrange a similar seminar in the next month after Ramadan. So again, I thank all the participants and the Christian writer. Hopefully we will collaborate further. We will contact you for more collaborations. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your interest. Thanks a lot.